thanks to our members and other support that we get from our fans, that we are able to deliver campaigns such as the France 2023 on the ground coverage. So if you would like to continue supporting the channel and the free coverage that it provides, be sure to check the link in the description to become a channel member now.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall. Praying that this night's gonna last. You got it all on tap, I'm loving your vibe, always have your back. We like all the same tracks, listen all night in the sheets all black. Said I'm falling fast, don't remember life before you, that's fact. I feel good, you look great, I like you, I can't wait. A first time, a first date, you're so fine, I'm so late. You sip wine, I drink straight. Don't waste time to my place. I feel my heart erase. So catch me if I fall.
Hello and welcome, my name is Reese and today I'm going to be speaking to you about one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER. Forever Motorsports is proudly supported by BITDEFENDER, one of the global leaders in cybersecurity. Stay safe with the most consistently top-rated antivirus of the last 10 years and counting. To protect yourself from cyber attacks, protect your browsing and personal information, and so much more, get BITDEFENDER. With BITDEFENDER's premium VPN, digital privacy and freedom is as easy as flicking on a light switch. Bank, stream, and download without exposing a single byte of personal information. Unblock your favorite streaming sites and get access to content that you want to watch on up to 10 devices today. Effective, invisible, and amazingly affordable. Use the link in the description to get started.
Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports for some huge news. The FIA have officially released unveiled the regulations for 2026 and beyond, which features more agile cars and active aerodynamics. In their words, not mine. Expect the cars to get smaller, faster, more overtaking, more sustainable. That is the plan with the new regulations, which will come into effect in 2026. So one more year before we really see these come into effect, but expect to see a very significant shift in how we know Formula One, and hopefully we'll solve a lot of the issues we're seeing in Formula One, especially with regards to the lack of competitiveness and the lack of overtaking we've seen in the last couple of races. For example, Monaco, where basically the grid almost finished exactly how it started. Before we get into exactly what the regulations are and what the changes are, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so we knew that the power units were obviously going to change. That was released a couple of years ago, but the F1 Formula, or the Formula One governing body, FIA, has officially unveiled the more regulations and sort of the full regulation of what's going to change. It still needs to be ratified and voted on by the World Motorsport Council, which will take place on 28th of June, but you can't expect it to go through. The basic summary is as follows. More agile cars, and they're going to be made lighter by 50 kgs. And they're going to be feature a redesigned power unit, which is going to increase the battery power. And there's going to be an even split between internal combustion engine and the electric power, and 100% use of sustainable fuels. A very important thing, when you think about how maybe, environmentally unfriendly Formula One is with regards to fossil fuels, the travel, for example. And they've had a very big shift to try and make it as sustainable as possible so we can continue to enjoy the sport whilst it doesn't wreck the environment. And clear to them, they put their hands up and they very much acknowledge that they have to adapt and they have to change things. And they are taking steps forward. Another very cool idea is active aerodynamics, which will incorporate a movable front and rear wing, which will allow for closer racing, apparently. They're going to be looking at increased overtaking opportunities through the introduction of a new similar sort of thing to a DRS, a system which will give the driver a short burst of additional power if they are within 1 second of the car in front of them. Also, very importantly, with these changes, that they are making more robust rules with regards to safety, and then with the sort of the sustainable issues over there. So basically, the FIA single-seat technical director, Nicholas Tombazis, has said as follows with regards to the regulations. He says, with this set of regulations, the FIA has sought to develop a new generation of cars that are fully in touch with the DNA of Formula One. Cars that are light, supremely fast and agile, but which also remains at the cutting edge of technology. And to achieve this, we have worked towards what we call a nimble car concept. So looking for a car which is a bit smaller and a bit more nimble in and around the track to provide more opportunities to overtake and the likes. In terms of the FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayman, saying today the FIA is defining a hugely exciting future for the pinnacle of motorsport with the launch of a new set of regulations for the 2026 FIA Formula One Championship and beyond. Let's go through some of the various changes, shall we? So in terms of the power units, obviously they are set to deliver more power. The hybrid unit has dropped from 550 to 560 kilowatts to 400 kilowatts. However, the battery has risen significantly from 120 kilowatts to 350, which is an almost 300% increase in electric power. Yeah, there'll be less from the sort of the combustion, but far more from the battery itself. So the amount of energy that can be recuperated during the braking phase is doubled per lap. The new regulations has also led to commitments from existing suppliers, so a record 6 companies which will be doing power units. It'll include Ferrari, Mercedes, and Renault, and it's also enticed apparently Honda to return, and then obviously Audi and Ford will also be doing power units through a partnership with the Red Bull powertrain. So in terms of the actual car design, cars are going to be lighter and smaller. So with regards to the weight, there's going to be 30 kgs shed potentially. 2026 cars are going to have a minimum weight of 768 kgs compared to the 798 kgs, which is where it is currently and has been the case since 2022. In terms of the wheelbase, it has been reduced by 200 millimeters to 3,400 millimeters, while the width has been cut from 100 millimeters, but cut by 100 millimeters to 1900. So they have reduced the both the width and the sort of the length of the wheelbase itself. Apparently, they say that the downforce as a result has been reduced by 30% and drag has been reduced by 55%. The 18-inch wheel size will remain, but the width of the tires will be reduced by 25 mils and the rears by 30 mils. Compared to the current generation of cars. In terms of the other sort of the aerodynamic innovations, this is where it obviously gets quite interesting. So it says that the FIA says the 2026 cars will be switchable between 2 configurations. One that will minimize fuel consumption, and the other one which will maximize corner performance. The active aerodynamics will involve a movable rear wing and a movable front wing, so to try and sort of get the best as we go. So you can kind of have different configurations depending on where you are on the track and stuff like that. The idea is that this will enable more greater cornering speeds and more sort of straight line speed as well. So you don't have to necessarily like, okay, cool, this track's got a lot of different corners and a very tough cornering track, therefore we need to sort of set that up the car like that. You can basically, your car will be able to do both. You'll be able to corner quickly as well as get that straight line speed. You don't have to compromise one for the other. The idea is also you're going to get that 1 second. If you're within 1 second of a car, you will get a sort of a boost from the power unit itself. Apparently, that's going to be similar to sort of the DRS idea. There'll be specific zones where that will potentially kick in. Once again, there is another overtaking aid that has been added to the regulations. And then just very quickly, they've talked about the push for greater safety. So they've introduced a 2-stage nose design, which is basically to stop things flying off. And they've also done a look at the protection around the driver and the fuel cell area, and basically just making the cars a bit safer. And then finally, the big thing is over there is that it says the Formula 1 power units are already the most efficient in the world. The F1 and FIA's pursuit of reaching net zero carbon by 2030. The 2026 power units will run on fully sustainable fuels. So no more fossil fuels, basically, is the plan. More electric power, basically. So it'll be a shift towards 50% electric and 50% thermal power distribution. That's a lot to get through. That's a lot to try and comprehend. We'll have to wait and see what this looks like. But basically, the summary is cars that can adapt to corners and straights. So you're not gonna you don't just screw your front wing in, adjust it, and say right, that's the position. They will be able to sort of change. Basically, they're going to be active based. The car's going to be slightly smaller. The wheels are going to be slightly smaller. The car's going to be lighter, and they're going to be set up more for more opportunities to overtake. So the idea is to get back to racing. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that they are trying to get these cars back to being, wheel-to-wheel racing, competitive, try and reducing the massive difference we're seeing from, a Kick Sauber and a Red Bull, the likes of that. To try and, all these regulations come in to try and sort of make it more competitive. We want to basically see a field where, there can potentially be 10 winners on the day. And not just, 3-4 cars who are really going to contend. Let me know if you think it's going to make any difference. Which of these regulations excites you? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you soon.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Forever Sports. As one of the leading channels in the world providing free coverage of all of your favorite sports, we are asking for your support. Everything that we create at Forever Sports is available for free and always will be. To help us continue delivering high quality content, as well as expanding our coverage, we are asking you to consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel member. As part of the Forever Sports Members Club, you will gain access to select perks, such as exclusive stickers and emojis to use during our watch-alongs and live streams. You will also gain early access to premium content, as well as have your name listed on the channel under channel members. We strive to deliver quality content that is unmatched by other channels, and are always looking to take things up another level, and our members give us the chance to do this. It is thanks to our members and other support that we get from our fans that we are able to deliver campaigns such as the France 2023 on the ground coverage. So if you would like to continue supporting the channel and the free coverage that it provides, be sure to check the link in the description to become a channel member now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're with me, Mark, for the free practice 3 session of Canada, round 9 in the 2024 season. As the last practice session before we get to qualifying later this evening, Reese will be taking you through qualifying later, but I'll be here for practice, of course, with the usual bunch I'm sure that we'll have in the comments. So if you guys are watching right now and you're one of the usuals, let me know if you're watching, and if you guys aren't, let me know where you watch from and who you are and who you support and all these other things, and give me your opinions and your predictions about today's race, today's qualifying, tomorrow's race, the session itself, and all these other various fun things. Of course, yesterday we were plagued a bit by weather in terms of the sessions, both getting a little bit of wet weather, so really skewing our stats and skewing where we might believe to see people for qualifying later on today. But this session seems to be dry. The track is dry. The clouds are overhead, but it's a dry session that's coming up for us for practice 3, so it should be quite a good one in that respect, so we can at least see cars go around at the sort of pace that we expect to see from all of them. So we do still expect to see a very, very competitive front of the grid this Grand Prix weekend. We expect McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull to be really, really competitive right at the top there. And who's going to win the Grand Prix is very much up in the air. Charles Leclerc is quite confident in his car and in the Ferrari, which means that obviously Sainz would have a chance as well. Red Bull, of course, have Max Verstappen. We all know that about Red Bull. They're sure to be competing right at the top there, as well as, of course, McLaren, who have really, really amped up their car in recent races, and it's certainly arguably the most powerful car, if not the best car on the grid right now. So you've got all of those fighting it out, and then you had Lewis Hamilton this week in Mercedes, also now in an interview smiling about his car. They reckon that Mercedes could be getting a podium this weekend, so obviously they reckon they found a lot of pace in these last couple of weeks since Monaco. So they're backing themselves in Canada as well. So we could have 3 to 4 teams all battling it out for the top spot, not just in qualifying in the pole position, but for the race itself tomorrow. And Canada is one of the far more exciting races of our calendar year because it's such a fast track, lots of overtaking opportunities. It's one of the few tracks that's got 3 DRS zones, so lots of potential places for people to overtake, and lots of long straights and interesting corners that have enough space around them, of course, to make overtakes happen. Lots of overtaking opportunities, so should be a hell of a weekend in store for us. But of course, we've got to get through the last practice session, which is now starting in about 10ish or so minutes. And yeah, we have jumped up, and I really do appreciate everybody for that. We jumped up to past 6,110 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Let's keep it going. Keep subscribing to the channel if you guys are new, and if you are a regular, maybe consider becoming a member of the channel as well, just to really show that support even more so. As we were watching some replays yesterday of those intermediate tires being put to use around Canada circuit here in Montreal. And whilst you guys are also joining us on this channel, be sure to go and check out the description of the video and check out our channel sponsor and partner, BITDEFENDER, for all your cybersecurity needs and for award-winning cybersecurity. Go and click on the link in the description to go and get some of the best cybersecurity you could possibly ask for in the modern age. And in this day and age, you really do need cybersecurity because everything is online. Everything revolves around your phone, your mobile device, your PC, your anything electronic. The internet is the world's oyster right now. So be sure to go and get yourself protected by all of those who might wish you harm digitally. So current conditions on the track: cloudy with 20-degree temperatures, low chance of rain, quite cloudy, but a low chance of rain. Maybe it's not really to be expected right now. But it's quite a good session. It's high. It is high, but we don't really expect any rain this session, maybe later on, but right now it's sunny. Right now everybody's quite chuffed and they're running around in the paddocks trying to get themselves ready. As you see Lance Stroll, the local boy, of course, for Aston Martin, his home race, he's running into his garage, get ready. Charles Leclerc's all smiles, Ferrari garage, he's also getting himself ready to get out into practice, giving a few smiles to other people there. I think he's a lot more relaxed now as well, because I think, you know, getting that win at home as well, he hasn't had a win in Formula One in a good while now. He's finally got that back for himself. So I think he's backing himself this weekend. I think he's coming into this weekend with a lot of confidence. Max Verstappen's been very frustrated these past couple of races. I think he's got a lot to prove. And Max Verstappen, when he's angry, is also a very dangerous driver because that's somebody who's going to be out there with a point to prove. So I think watch Max Verstappen very carefully as well. He'll want to do a lot better than he did in Monaco. So yes, whilst we guys are joining us, please be sure to like the video if you haven't done it already, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already as well. Looking at the comments, we've got Joel Simon giving us a wave. We've got TC also joining us saying good afternoon. A few earlier comments as well from Rudoshi, from K. Zendrick Marquez saying, I'm so excited for practice 3. And yes, we are all getting ready for. Drop me a comment down below, give me an opinion, give me a question, and we can discuss it as we get on into practice 3. Yeah, so we do have to have a little look. So I was just listening to the commentary there, talking about Red Bull. We've had a lot of chat about the other 3 teams, being Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren, all heading into this weekend quite confidently. Red Bull, of course, part of their news, the fact that Sergio Perez has signed a 2-year extension at Red Bull, which means that they are very firmly aware of what's happening in their team department, their driving department. They know exactly what's going to be happening. But in FP2, we did see smoke was reported out of the back of the car for Max Verstappen. So he had a bit of smoke coming out the back. They had to work on the car, mainly in the floor sort of areas, and they were working underneath the car a lot. So a couple of small problems for Red Bull yesterday in FP2, which they did have to look at. So they're going to have to try and fix that. I'm sure they will. It's Red Bull, a very, very good outfit in terms of that. So they'll fix that, I'm sure, during this practice session. But it was interesting to see that they had a little bit of these issues, knowing that they still need to try and really motor ahead. Max Verstappen still first with 169 points in the Drivers' Championship, but those behind him are starting to gain and make weight. So he does need to be careful. He can't afford to really lose too many more points. It's starting to heat up and become a very exciting season. Round 9, we're almost halfway through. Halfway through, we are 12 races in. So we're almost halfway through the season, and it's really still anybody's game. Yes, Max Verstappen's in the driving seat for now, but given recent performances, I think that could become a very, very competitive area of the field. So more comments are rushing in here. It's great to see you guys all doing it. Julia Baum here, of course, or Baum. I never know how to say your surname. I do apologize. But Julia from Germany is joining us, saying good evening. Yanni is joining us. Hello, everyone. What did I miss? You've missed absolutely nothing. Practice is still yet to start. We'll start in about 5 or so minutes time. Julia saying, where do you think Ocon will be next year? Frankly, I don't think he'll have a seat. I don't think he'll be in F1. I think he might go to World Endurance Championships. He'll find himself in another area of racing sport. He's a very good driver. He's just got absolutely no team skills whatsoever, as we've seen in all of his teams that he's been at and all of the partners, rather, that he has had as well. So that's certainly going to be something to look at in terms of where he will be, but I don't think he'll be in F1 next year. TC saying, be interested to see everyone's pace in the dry. Indeed, our first session with proper dry tracks. So this will be great to see for everyone at home and everybody on the track as well. We'll see the real pace that these cars are bringing in, because also it's the last practice session before qualifying, which means we'll see a lot of qualifying attempts, getting the car all ready for the fastest possible setup, of course. And yeah, we'll see just how quick the McLarens, Ferraris, and the Mercedes are, as they've talked themselves up into this weekend. We'll see where Red Bull also feature amongst those top 3 teams and those top 4 teams. So I think it's going to be a very exciting session. I think we're going to be watching the timing boards very, very keenly, just to sort of get an understanding of pace. Of course, it's Aston Martin's home weekend, with Lawrence Stroll, of course, being Canadian, and Lance Stroll being Canadian, and the team is obviously a Stroll team. So it's a home race for them. I'm hoping they can pull something out of the fire and maybe see Alonso right near the top there. But of course, you're joining us for the Formula 1 AWS Grand Prix de Canada. It is round 9 of the 2024 season, which features 24 races in total, the longest season we've ever had. And of course, yes, we are in Montreal, Canada, which is on the east coast of Canada, which makes it slightly easier for us to watch at home, generally in the evenings, for most of us who watch from the European time zones. The weather is dry, and a little bit of rain possibly expected, but not really going to affect the session. 4.3 kilometers is the track distance, with full throttle spent at 65%, the lap record a 1:10. Top speed spent just under 350 kilometers an hour. There are 14 turns and just an elevation of 5 meters, as it is on the coast. And yeah, pretty much just a little island is the track. Looking at the tires available for this weekend is the C5, the C4, and the C3. The C5 being the softest, the C3 being the hardest. So the softest type of compound tires that we could get in the entire season, that's what we have available for this race. Of course, the inters and the wets will be available due to the sort of weather conditions we do expect to get here And yeah, I mean, I'm very much excited for it. I'm hoping you guys all are back in the at home and in the comment section as well, going through those comments as well as Farcusio or Farcasio. Sorry, saying, will you have some live video from the practice 3? Well, if you guys go and head to the description of the video, you'll find a very, very cool little link and an instruction manual on how you guys can watch Formula One for free and completely legally. Following that link, you guys can do so and follow those instructions, and you'll be able to watch alongside us. And be sure to have us next door so that you can also still engage in all of the chat. So be sure to go check that out in the description. And whilst you guys are there, to make sure that you're safe whilst doing so, get BITDEFENDER. Also follow that link there to make sure that you're well protected when you do anything and everything. Yanni there saying Red Bull could have signed me to a 2-year contract for a lot less money and far fewer crashes. Of course, Sergio Perez has not had the best of times recently in terms of keeping his car out of walls and out of cars. He's been involved in quite a few instances. The last one was not his fault. Well, actually, some people saying possibly could be his fault and otherwise, but certainly his collision with Magnussen in Monaco was quite big and certainly ruined his race and cost a lot of money to the Red Bull team because that car was pretty much totaled. And yeah, looking here, we've also got James's comment here saying Jacques Villeneuve roasted Danny Rick yesterday, saying he's only been in F1 in the last few years for his image, not his results. Is it justified to have said so? I think it's quite a brave statement. I think, you know, Ricciardo's got a lot to prove right now. He's sitting on 5 points in the Constructors' Championship. That is a whole 14 points behind his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. So one has to argue that he needs to do a little bit better, of course. But recently, he's not done as terribly. So one hopes that Daniel Ricciardo will have a decent weekend and maybe not just be a face in the sport, as James says. I want to know everyone else's thoughts. Does everybody else also feel like Daniel's just there for image, or do you feel like he's there because he's actually a good racing driver? An interesting one that Jacques Villeneuve obviously brought up. Dean Dawson saying, hi guys, hope everyone is doing well. Hope this will be a good one. Super excited. Indeed, we all are. I'm sure we are, Dean, and welcome to the stream. Kay Zendrick saying hello as well. Old Man Roo, the usual, saying good morning all. 2:30 a.m. in Australia. I love the dedication. Absolutely love it. I want to see that more from more fans around the world. But love to see you here, Old Man Roo, late at night. Hopefully your Australian drivers do half decently. And Julia also saying, responding to James, saying, honestly, I like Daniel, but since he left Red Bull, he just didn't perform anymore. And as much as I'd like to see him at the top again, I don't think it will happen. Problem is, he's getting on in years, as Daniel Ricciardo. So his best years are, you know, not necessarily behind him, but certainly limited and few and far between. So he really does need to capitalize this season. If he doesn't do too well this season, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get replaced. And if you get replaced twice in Formula One, it's rare enough to get a second chance in Formula One that Daniel Ricciardo got, but you'll never get a third chance. So unfortunately for him, he needs to make sure that he gets his performances up to scratch so that he can stay in the sport for as long as possible. Because the moment he's out of that team, the moment he's out of F1, he's never coming back, I don't feel. So all of the cars are at the end of the pit lane. We're about to get that green light in the pit lane. And there we go. That is the start of practice 3. 1 hour will be the session. And we have the 2 Red Bulls leading us out for the session on medium tires, notably the medium tires. So I imagine to see some race simulation here from the 2 of them. We'll see them go around for quite a while. So a lot of race pace and race simulations here to see how to set up the car for the race. And yeah. I think it'll be a lot of interesting times getting put in here. I would love to see the sort of pace that these drivers will be putting in. I'm sure a couple of odd drivers will go out there on softs and try and put a quali attempt in just to sort of skew the numbers away and give everybody a false sense of security and otherwise in terms of where they feature in the grid. So it's a beautiful, beautiful circuit here in Montreal. I really do like it. It's one of my favorite tracks of the calendar. Not necessarily my absolute favorite one, but certainly one of my more favorite ones. It's because it's so fast, it's quite technical in some sectors there. It's got some seriously good turns where you can make attempted overtakes. It's got lots of space for good racing, good following, 3 DRS zones, which means you can make those overtakes happen. So it's great racing here in Montreal. So I cannot wait for the race tomorrow and, of course, qualifying later. We've got the Wall of Champions as well. I'm sure it's going to feature this weekend. We'll see a few more drivers possibly head into it, especially in qualifying later because people really push the cars to the limit. And when they do so, they hit a curb a little bit too much right at the end there, and they head off into that Wall of Champions, often causing a red flag to the session and obviously taking themselves out of qualifying. But now the first lap of practice 3 started by our current leader in the Drivers' Championship and the current Drivers' Champion, Max Verstappen. So he's on the medium tire, of course. He's heading down sector 1, and he heads into those few sectors. Now, of course, the track has been upgraded a little bit. They've resurfaced the track, which is also going to make it slightly more difficult for the drivers around here because it's got far less rubber than it had previously. And yeah, so it's a very clean and possibly slippery track, as we did see yesterday, even in the rain. And of course, he's put in purple sector. It's the first time that somebody's gone into that sector, so it is expected to have a purple sector there for Max Verstappen. His DRS is opened the whole time here, so he's basically doing a qualifying simulation on medium tires here. He's really pushing it. So we should see quite a quick lap here from Max Verstappen on the medium tires, and hopefully he doesn't get held up by the traffic ahead of him here as he enters sector 2 at 46.7, and cars getting out of his way nicely there to make sure they don't affect his race. The Aston Martin slightly not doing enough, but I don't think it's affected him all that much. As he comes now, that final DRS zone, very, very long one before those final couple of turns, those very, very quick turns right at the end of the track. And he should be putting in about the mid-teens here, Max Verstappen, I imagine, heading towards that 120 zone. Oh, he cut the corner there. He cut the corner, unfortunately. So I think he's going slowly now down the main straight. He is indeed going slowly down the main straight. So he's given up that lap. He messed up his final turn, Max Verstappen. So we don't actually get a first proper lap. But his teammate, Sergio Perez, will get a proper lap in first. There we go. A time put in by Sergio Perez. And now also an Alpine following him in. And a few more other cars finishing up their laps. Just watching a replay of Max Verstappen make that mistake into the final turn there. As he tried to come into it, he just hit the curb a little bit too much, and he had to, unfortunately, dive down the inside of the last turn instead of going around it. So, unfortunately for him, that's his lap given up, essentially, by himself. Just had a little bit of a slide. Said, mate, I don't know why, but the whole weekend already, the steering, super weird for me. So he's not enjoying the car right now, Max Verstappen. As he tried to steer in, clearly just lost it a little bit, and you can see the car just gets a little bit disturbed, and he unfortunately loses it and cuts that corner. Lindiwe is joining us in the comments. Great to have you here, Lindiwe. Hello, everybody. K Zendrick as well saying, do you have some live racing? Again, go check out the description of the video, and you can see the instructions. There's a few instructions rather there that can help you do exactly that. Old Man Roo saying, Danny Rick still has the will to win, but he's running out of time, I think, sadly. Indeed, it's exactly that. I'd love to see him do well. He's been one of my favorite drivers over the last few years. I've always enjoyed Danny Rick since his time at Red Bull. He's been a really, really cool character to have in the grid. And when he was doing well, a really aggressive racer, which is great to see. But he does really need to get a go and move on, rather, in terms of trying to get himself some more points and solidify himself a little bit more as a good driver that people deserve to keep. So right now, Gasly has just gone around quickest at 116.4, all on the medium tire right now, everybody. Everybody has gone out onto the track. Ricciardo and Piastri are the only ones in the pits right now. A few more are heading into the pits, but there's a few practice pit stops in the pit stops as well. So yeah, that's also interesting to see. So a few cars with high vis paint. I see a V-carb car there with high vis paint. I think that's Daniel Ricciardo. He's going out with some high vis paints to do a lot of aerial testing and aero testing. And yeah, I don't think you're going to see anybody in the pits for too long this session, because it's the first dry session we've had all weekend before qualifying later. So you'll see people going around as many times as possible. So right now, Pierre Gasly in the Alpine, 116.4. Perez is second, 1.6 seconds behind that time. Sainz now into fourth as Zhou finishes up a lap for himself at 118.6. So yeah, these times will start tumbling very, very quickly. Everybody pretty much just getting used to the track again. As Ocon now in his Alpine goes up into second. And oh my word, we've got a car on the wall already, and it's a Stake Sauber. It's a Sauber in the wall. It's Zhou Guanyu, who I do not think will be getting a seat next season. I think it's terrible. Yellow flag already in sector 1. I think this is going to turn into a red flag, if I'm frank. Already 6 minutes into the session, and waiting for the red flag to be shown. It's a yellow flag still right now. He cannot seem to get out of the grass. He seems to be just a little bit beached there. The wall slightly gone into it. He just says, I'm okay. Red flag has been shown, and as I thought, immediately an end to practice, which everybody else is going to be upset about. And Zhou Guanyu, once again, this is the second time he's caused a red flag this weekend in 3 sessions. He's gone into the wall. He's obviously snapped into the back of it, and we have now caused another red flag to the session. Zhou Guanyu, the only one to hit the wall yesterday, and he's the only one to hit the wall again today. So let's see. He starts the lap off here. This is literally into turn 1, and as he comes around, he just slides it completely, loses control, and the back of it just hits into the wall. It's really a low impact collision, but it's enough to have unsettled the car and to damage the rear wing quite significantly. Just completely slides out. Him on the radio says, I have no idea what's happening with the car. The car is so strange, man. It just locks up all the rears. I mean, the rear of the car is actually very much not damaged at all. I don't think the car's actually got any problem, but unfortunately he's just beached himself on the grass, couldn't get going, so he's going to have to, unfortunately, ask these marshals to basically just push him. Is he out the car? He is out the car. I think he wants to try and push it, though. I don't think he's going to be able to get back into the car straight away. So unfortunately for Gilles Villeneuve, he's caused another red flag to the session. So Francesco asked, favorite team? If that's my favorite team, well, it's difficult questions these days. I've always been a Red Bull fan. I've always loved McLaren. I've got a sympathetic heart for Ferrari. My new team that I really want to try and start supporting a little bit more is Aston Martin, provided Lance Stroll happens to leave. But yeah, I think Red Bull is probably my favorite team. It has been for many, many years. But I'm still a big sympathizer and a lover of McLaren and Ferrari. And I would love to see Aston Martin do really well. It's like my team that I really want to do well. If Aston Martin happens to beat all those other teams, I'm actually quite happy with it. So race controllers noted Sargent for an instant failing to follow race director's instructions. Escape road instructions has been noted in turn 9. Yeah, so the big thing about practice, of course, is the fact that the red flag has been shown, but the timing does not stop. It's not like qualifying. If a red flag happens in qualifying, they stop the clock. They say, wait, we'll wait for the incident to clear, and then we'll carry on. So nobody loses time. But in practice, we don't stop the clock. So we're going to keep going here. And unfortunately for everybody else, we've had such little running so far in these 3 practice sessions. And we're going to continue to do so because another red flag has disrupted our session. Gilles Villeneuve again this time. So everybody's having their cars wheeled back to the garages, and hopefully we'll get running again very, very soon. TC saying, Joe, ruining the weekend for everyone. Julia saying, damn, Joe really has to get it together or he will lose his seat and I will lose my sanity. Yanni saying, Joe and the weather are cause for issues. So far, Albon has behaved. Well, Albon's not usually a cause for concern. But yes, so another red flag by Joe, although it seems to have, I want to say, cleared. No, it's not clear. It's just on the timing there. We haven't got a red flag anymore there, but I think it is still red flag conditions, of course. They still wouldn't have been able to check the wall, but I'm fairly certain the wall will be absolutely fine. The car is off the track, so I imagine we're going to get a green flag very, very, very soon. I don't think we'll be waving a red flag for too long. They've just monitored, just checked the wall there. I don't think there's any damage to the wall because I say it was a really, really low impact crash. There's barely any damage to the car as well. The car will be wheeled back to the pits right now, basically, and they'll be able to get it in. So I'm sure that we'll get going ASAP. Strix 1992 saying, who was first in FP1? Now, I believe it was Lando Norris. Not that it makes any difference because it was such a disrupted session. We had weather and other things, so it could have been anybody, realistically. Race controllers noted the session will resume at 12:40 local time. That's just in 1 minute's time, and we'll get going again. So just as 50 minutes are remaining in the session, we'll get going again with a green flag. So already we've got all the cars in the pit lane lined up, ready to get out there, and the 2 Ferraris this time leading us out instead of those Red Bulls that we had earlier. 4, 3, 2, 1, and green flag. There we go, and everybody is getting going again into the session. Track is clear. FIS stewards have noted no further investigation for Logan Sargent in terms of failing to follow race director's instructions. And the cars are really motoring out onto the track. It's actually the McLaren and Red Bull of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen who have, or actually Piastri rather, and Max Verstappen who have motored out of the pits. Very, very keen, obviously, to get some running in. They're not wasting any time. They're pretty much almost racing each other out of the pits. So good to see that we've got these drivers all very keen to get out there. And indeed, they would be because they've had so little running this weekend. They want to get around the track as many times as possible, get all the data in to make sure the cars as quick as possible for not just qualifying later, but the race as well, because they just know how crucial this weekend is. It's a 4-horse race. It really is. It's going to be an interesting race tomorrow. I cannot wait to watch it. Francesco is saying this Zhou thing happened at Jeddah as well. He crashed in FP3 and maybe he won't take part in qualifying. No, he'll definitely take part in qualifying. It's such a small crash, definitely will not have any issues with regards to that. So let's see the sort of times that we get putting in, or get put in from the drivers now. Let's speak English, shall we? Gasly, Ocon at the top there in the Alpines, Perez in third, Zhou was fourth, and of course he's now crashed his car, so he's going to have to wait a little while. Sainz in fifth, Bottas sixth, Leclerc in seventh, Sargent in eighth, ninth and 10th, taken by the two Mercedes of Hamilton and Russell. So we're now following on board with Oscar Piastri. He's on the medium tyre and he's finishing up sector 1 right now, just about 5 seconds away from that marker. Does he seem to be pushing it as much as he possibly can? I think he goes on a slightly slow push lap here. Let's see what he does compared to Gasly's time. He's just behind Gasly's time right now on this medium tyre, so he's not pushing as hard as he possibly can on those medium tyres, just getting around the track as many times as possible, I imagine. I don't see any high-vis paint either, but I imagine they're taking a lot of data in, of course, for that McLaren garage. Now heading towards the end of Sector 2 here for Oscar Piastri, the Australian, who is probably one of my favourite, if not my new favourite driver out on the grid. I'm very keen to see what he can do with his career. He's 0.48 seconds behind Gasly's time. So right now he should be on track to finish second fastest right now in the session. But yeah, he comes around that hairpin, now comes to that long DRS zone down the back straight, and it should be finding a lot more pace than the average Alpine, so he should be able to make up a bit more time. Leclerc in the second sector is slightly down on Gasly's time as well, similar to Piastri, so they'll be reasonably close to each other. Piastri now finishing up a lap for himself. Verstappen first, though, finishes his lap at 1:15.4, the new fastest lap. Piastri now comes across the line at 1:16.9, just behind Gasly, as I thought he would be, but just ahead of Ocon. Sainz now finishing up a lap for himself. He should also be right near the top there. Behind Ocon, though, he's in fifth at 1:17.7. Now, Charles Leclerc, the previous Grand Prix winner in Monaco, comes across the line. He goes into fourth position right now, 1:17.5, just behind Piastri, but ahead of Ocon and Sainz. And now we are on board with Pierre Gasly after seemingly gone ahead early on in the session. Let's see what he can do now as he finishes up a lap for himself. He is currently second. He's going to be down on that time still, 0.74 seconds down, but he has improved upon his previous time. Though Lando Norris is seemingly going quite quickly right now in his McLaren. He sits down in 17th without a time, but he's finishing up in sector 3, and he seems to be nailing it as well, slightly onto the grass, but he should be able to get into a 1:16 here, and he does get into a 1:16.8. He ends up in fifth, a little bit faster than his teammate. Alonso, though, all eyes on Alonso. Please, can Alonso do half decently this weekend? I would really love to see it. He seems to be going to put in a relatively slow lap. I reckon a 1:16, 1:17, 1:18 even. 1:17.6 on the hard tyre, though, notably. So it is on the hard tyre. He's down in 10th. Well, funny enough, I think I did manage to answer the question without even realizing it, to Kay Zendrick saying, who is my favorite driver? As I say, Oscar Piastri is probably my new favorite driver on the grid. I do really enjoy him. I think he's such a mature guy for such a young driver as well. He's just a very cool character, very, very relaxed, very much like the type of person I tend to associate with, a very relaxed guy. I enjoy him, and he races really, really aggressively as well, and I think he's got a great career ahead of him. My other favorite driver, and I think is everybody's also one of their favorite drivers, is, of course, Fernando Alonso, for just longevity reasons as well. And he's such a cool character. He's quite a fun guy. I know some people tend to find him irritating, but I just think he enjoys life and he's quite fun. Yanni here saying, I meant to type Ocon above, not Albon. And that would make more sense. Quick Money 333 saying, who will win? Well, your name literally has money in it. Put your money on somebody, because I have no idea. I'm not making that prediction for you. You can make that prediction for yourself. Put your money where your mouth is and make that prediction yourself. I have no idea who's going to win. Francesco asking, what does it mean when the sector then becomes yellow? It means that it's under yellow flag conditions, which means something's happened, just like Albon going off the track right now, as he's gone for a little excursion onto the grass and he's rather ruined his tires there. So that would be a yellow sector, because it just means something dangerous has happened, or somebody's going slow and there's potential danger in the section. So just go a little bit slower and be cautious. That's what yellow flags mean, and that's what a yellow sector means. TC asking, I just read on the internet that Hyundai will be keen to join F1. Well, that is interesting, at the point that I had to wonder why. I wouldn't think Hyundai is the or depending on how people say it, Hyundai or Hyundai or Hyundai, or however you want to say it, or Hyundai, or whatever you have to say in whatever country you're in. It's a very odd car manufacturer to get involved in F1, if I must be frank. I wonder what would happen there. So Albon, just talking about his incident, it's hilarious. Every single driver seems to be saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the car just feels really, really off. I can't seem to handle this car. And yeah, Albon saying the exact same thing as he went off there, as Joe did when he crashed. Just saying, I don't understand this car right now. This doesn't make sense to him. Valtteri Bottas also watching a replay of him. Does he get caught up? Oh, he does, unfortunately. He has to just dive off. He just locks up slightly. He got held up by a McLaren, I think, ahead of him. So that's unfortunate for him on his lap there. Indeed, meanwhile, Alonso has moved into P2 at 115.7 from Fernando Alonso, and Daniel Ricciardo in third at 115.7 as well. So great from Alonso to find some good pace out there. I think he's still on the hard tyre as well, which is great to see, which means on the hard tyre is right up there. Hopefully that is a good indicator for what's to come in qualifying later, as well as the race tomorrow. Strixia saying, if Magnussen wouldn't crash most of the time, he would be good in my opinion. Unfortunately, the crashing does still happen. So do you still think he's good? You know, Nicholas Latifi, is he good, or is he just, crash Tifi? Now, meanwhile, Alonso, who is sitting second, is now motoring around Sector 2, and he's really motoring, and it could actually find himself even further up here. He's really motoring on these hard tyres. They've got a purple sector in Sector 1. Sector 2 is green. Personal best for himself in Sector 2. Sector 3, let's see how he fares into it. On the hard tyre, still managing to compete with all these on the medium tyres. A really, really good indicator for Fernando Alonso. And Lance Stroll's also right up there on the hard tyre in the Aston Martin. So Alonso finishing up his track for himself. Where does he put himself? Just in the 1:14. So he is the quickest car out on track in first position now at 1:14.87 on the hard tyre compared to Max Verstappen on the medium, who's 0.113 seconds behind. And Aston Martin do look very unfazed in the garage there, but I think that's good. Early indications of what Alonso and Aston Martin could maybe do this weekend. Hopefully they've managed to bring enough upgrades this weekend to get themselves back into the positions that they deserve to be. Last season they were fantastic to watch, and they started diving off at the end. Now I was really hoping they'd start to try and make their way back up this season, and unfortunately they've had such a terrible start to it. But maybe this is the turnaround. Maybe this is now where they start to improve a little bit. Daniel Ricciardo, meantime, has also gone to third position, 0.5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Now, Oscar Piastri is also carrying on, and so is Lando Norris. Lando Norris has got a purple sector in Sector 1. Sector 2 is green for him as well. Oscar Piastri, let's see what he does in this third sector as he comes around the Tour of Champions there, and he's coming down that start-finish straight. DRS wide open. He'll also get into very close to the 1:14s, but a 1:15.2 from him. He moves into third. Lando Norris, however, he now is finishing up a lap for himself. This could go even quicker than Fernando Alonso. No, just behind it. 1:15.0, so just behind Max Verstappen as well. So right now, Alonso first, Verstappen second, Norris and Piastri third and fourth, Daniel Ricciardo in fifth. Stefan saying, Hardy, what time is qualifying? Qualifying will be from now. If it's 10 to 7 local time, it'll be in 4 hours and a bit time. It'll be 11 o'clock my time, South African Standard Time. So it'll be in 4 hours time from now is when qualifying will be. So be sure to stick around for that. Reese will be taking you through qualifying later on. So don't go anywhere, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so, and like the video as well, so that you guys can be notified about that qualifying session later on. Old Man Roo saying Danny did a hot lap. Indeed, he did do a hot lap. It was quite hot. It's down in 7th now, and Stroll finishes up a lap for himself, still on those hards, also puts himself up right there in 3rd. Alonso's pushing again in these hard tires. He's got a purple sector again as well. It's incredible from the Aston Martins. We have no idea, however, the fuel loads and the type of running simulations they're doing, but if they are doing relatively long runs on these hard tires and putting in quicker times than pretty much everybody else around them, it's incredible. And hopefully it's early indicators that maybe Aston Martin could be a dark horse this weekend. I mean, it's incredible so far. Unless they're just doing this to try and get the hype up in the crowd, they may be just really pushing hard for you. But frankly, I don't see how you can. On the hard tire, they've gone for a few laps now in a row, and he's really enjoying it. And Alonso finished up another lap, 0.4 seconds quicker than his own. So he's now into the 1:14.4. It's a hell of a quick lap from Alonso. So great to see from Aston Martin, really putting a little bit of a statement up here early on in P3. And Lindy West saying this is a Grand Prix is a chance for any mid and bottom teams to grab pole. It could be anyone's race. Watching a replay of Sergio Perez, I think he gets held up quite badly by what seems to be a Haas ahead of him. Is it a Haas? I think it's a Haas. It is a Haas indeed. Gets really held up and he waves his hand in his direction on the radio. He says, yeah, what the F? The Haas there, of course, getting in his way. I think it was, in fact, Kevin Magnussen once again. Yeah, Yanni here saying, I agree on Piastri. He's my second favorite, and I do find Norris annoying. I don't dislike or hate him. He just annoys me, lol. Now, some people do get a little bit annoyed by Norris. Bob's just saying, just got back from football. Great to see you back here. Verstappen's my favorite. Danny second, and Lando third. Okay, oh dear, and Lando Norris, or rather, Oscar Piastri, sorry, has had to abandon his lap. He just missed that final turn. Lando Norris, however, has not. He's got a purple sector in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2. Let's see how he fares in Sector 3. He's not going to beat Alonso's time. He's not going to get anywhere near it. A 1:14.9, though, does put himself into second place, but still about 0.5 seconds behind Alonso's time, who was on the hard. So, Alonso doing really, really well out there. And Stroll as well, and down in fourth. Also not too bad. Now, Alonso does find himself in the pits, however, so maybe it was low fuel runs. Maybe that's why they're finding pace. But good early signs from Aston Martin. Now, watching a replay of Oscar Piastri, just missed that final turn there. Oh, he just has a little bit of a drift, just loses it slightly in the rear, and has to just abandon that turn and just take it a little bit down the side road there, the escape route. Kay Zendrick saying, based on your opinion, who will win this race in FP3? I have no idea. No idea. Not a cooking clue. Yanni saying maybe the new track surface is making the cars behave oddly. Indeed, it might well be a factor. It's always been a factor. As Danny Rick finishes up a lap for himself, very, very good, on the medium tyre, into second place for the V-Carb car. Good on ya. Bob saying one of the top three teams are going to crash in the wall of champs. Well, it's almost a given these days. I'm going to pass out for the day. I imagine you're trying to say. You're going to head out for the day. Unfortunately, if you're very tired, I'll see you all tomorrow. Indeed. Well, maybe just join us for the qualifying later, you know. That could be quite fun. Old Man Roo saying, go Alonso, he's a smart operator, great racecraft. Indeed he is. Francesco Marone saying, what do you think about 2026 cars? I said this yesterday in yesterday's FP1 stream. I think it's very positive. I am looking forward to it. I'm very intrigued to see how the rear wing and front wing, variable wings and how that all works, and the aerial way in which they can follow cars as Lance Stroll finishes up another lap for himself into the 114s. Very, very good now from Aston Martin. Perez just complaining as well about the grip. He just seemingly cannot find any grip right now. So he's really struggling out there, as is all these cars. And Sergio Perez on the medium tires really down almost into the 120s here as he finished up a lap for himself. 3.9 seconds behind Alonso. Terrible. But yes, we don't know the strategies right now. But again, I do have to say that it could actually be anybody's race at this point, because everybody seems to be struggling. There's nobody's really smiling. Everybody's quite concerned in the garages right now. So again, these Aston Martins on the hard tyres, further ahead than pretty much every other team right now. Everybody's only gone out on the medium tyres, except for Aston Martin, who went out on the hard tyres and did very well. On this date, though, in 2014, Daniel Ricciardo did win his first ever race at the Canadian Grand Prix. So, yeah, I mean, Daniel Ricciardo right now is in second. He loves his track, clearly. He's done really, really well to get up into second right now in this practice session. Hopefully he finds pace this weekend, and hopefully he does well this weekend. And if he does, it'll certainly help him solidify himself a little bit further up in terms of where people's opinions are of his Formula One racing. Hamilton, in the meantime, on the radio has just said the wind has picked up quite significantly indeed. It does seem a little windy around the back of some of these parts of the track, but again, weather shouldn't really affect our session too much. So quite a few cars now find themselves in the pits. Not too many runners out there right now. So we've got a little bit of a lull period. It is almost halfway through the session. It does tend to happen. I imagine after this we're going to start seeing some race simulations, a little bit more long runs from everybody. So we'll probably see hard tires and medium tires put on. And we'll see all these other strategies get put on for race strategy type things happening in the next 20 or so minutes, and then in the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so, we'll see some qualifying runs and some very, very late rushes towards the end of the session to see who can get the quickest time before going into qualifying later on this evening. And one more time, qualifying will be done by Reese later. He'll be taking it. That is at 11 o'clock South African Standard Time. And if you guys are joining us right now, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and check out our channel partner, BITDEFENDER. For all your cybersecurity needs and getting award-winning cybersecurity, you can go check out the description of the video. And yeah, you can get that award-winning cybersecurity for yourself, which you need in this day and age as well. So about just under 34 minutes left of P3, and we do see both Red Bulls still out on track, trying to put some decent runs in here on the medium tire. Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen rather, is going around for himself in these medium tires. Let's see how he fares compared to Fernando Alonso's time. And he's slightly down on it, 1.1 seconds, so clearly not doing the same sort of strategy as Alonso was doing. GFT or GFoot or whatever, saying Hyundai in F1, Hyundai engines are terrible. Yeah, I did have to wonder why Hyundai were coming into F1, or if that's the rumor that is happening, because it would be a very surprising thing. But at the same point, a lot of people use F1 as a means to try and develop their engines and to try and just increase, research budgets, to just make it a reason. People almost use it as an excuse to go and try and improve upon their already made engines and otherwise, and to try and improve upon the engineering generally. So maybe that's the sort of thought they might have. They might think, we can get involved in F1, really put some proper research into engine department, and maybe they can try and get some things going for their cars out on the track, as well as maybe just, trying to advertise their car brand a little bit more. That's obviously what Honda and a lot of others did as well, to try and get their brand a little bit more out there by getting involved in Formula One. Cora is joining us now. Good evening, everybody, and good evening to you, Cora. Watching a replay of Daniel Ricciardo. Oh, he just loses it ever so slightly coming towards the end of Sector 1. Gets very, very, very close to the wall there. Oh, there's a groundhog. Never mind, that's what it is. Oh, my word, there's a groundhog so close to Daniel Ricciardo's car, and he gets a big fright there. My word, I didn't even see that there. Groundhog was right on the corner of the track there. Almost got taken out by Daniel Ricciardo, and he would not have gone down well if that had happened. But my word. But I have to hold that comment right now, because we do have our first soft tyre run being put in by Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see a decent time getting put in by the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. He's on the soft tyre. He's pushing really, really hard here. So hopefully we'll see a new fast lap here, and hopefully closer to the 110s. He finishes up Sector 1. It's actually still down on Alonso's time, even though he's on the soft tyre. So Fernando Alonso really doing well on those hard tyres, regardless of whatever sort of tactics you're running here. The DRS is wide open for Carlos Sainz, but he's gone slow in Sector 1. Very, very big surprise. Although Sargent on the soft tyres also going around, he's got two purple sectors, Sector 1 and Sector 2. So the Williams driver of Logan Sargent could be finishing up much quicker than possibly Carlos Sainz, although Carlos Sainz has now taken that purple sector away from Logan Sargent in Sector 2 at least. Let's see what Sargent can do, and he crosses the line just ahead of Fernando Alonso. On the soft tyre, Sargent puts in a 1:14.3. Alonso only 0.09 seconds behind that on the hard tyre. Just shows you how incredible of a lap that was from Fernando Alonso, and in fact even Lance Stroll, because Lance Stroll is also right up there still. Now, Carlos Sainz finishing up a lap for himself. Would he go quicker than Logan Sargent? He does not. He doesn't even go quicker than Alonso either, a 1:14.5. So Alonso on the hard tyre still quicker than those on the softs. JSO Tech saying, your links in the description don't seem to be working. I can't get the F1, just other streams on the links despite using BITDEFENDER. Well, I do apologize about that. I'll chat to my producer and I'll get him to maybe have a look at that. My producer will be on it right now, and he'll have a look, see if it is working as it should be or not, and I'll get back to you as soon as I get more information. Do apologize about that, but meanwhile, just try and see if it does work. If it does work for you, fantastic. Now, all these drivers are on the soft tyre now. We're seeing a lot more soft running happening out on track. We've got George Russell on the Mercedes. He's now set a purple sector in Sector 1, and he's going around flying on the soft tyres as well. And Mercedes did say this weekend they could do something, so hopefully this is the start of exactly that. And let's see how George Russell can do. He seems to more or less be the #1 driver in Mercedes at the moment. Lewis Hamilton seems to have taken a little bit of a backseat to him. So let's see what George Russell can do now. And also being earmarked as the #1 driver for Mercedes from next season when, of course, Lewis Hamilton leaves and goes to Ferrari. So second sector is also purple now for George Russell. He's 0.185 seconds up on Logan Sargent's time as he comes round to that hairpin and hopefully doesn't get held up by the car ahead of him. And there you go, now going down the DRS zone, nice and fast for himself. before he comes to his final couple of turns, and let's see what sort of time he can put in. Will we head into the 114s, low 114s, 114.0s, the 113s perhaps? Let's see what George Russell can do. He really does nail the final sector there quite well, so this could be very, very quick. This could even be a sub 114 as it comes across the line, just not a 114.2. Strix92 saying Alonso is on hards or on the old hards. I think he's on new hards because nobody's really been able to use hards at all. So those were on new hards, but still, regardless of the fact he's gone quicker than the soft tire runners, quite a few of them, is quite incredible. Francesco Marone saying Leclerc's tires, please. I do not know what Leclerc's on. He's on the medium tire. In fact, we're watching a replay of him right now. And he goes around the final couple of turns. Then he almost ends up into the Wall of Champions there. On the radio, there's still lots of pulling, to be honest, and still SHIT on the brakes. So not enjoying his time out there, Charles Leclerc right now. He's all the way down in 15th. So there are less than 28 minutes remaining of P3 here, and it pretty much is P1, P2, and P3 all crammed into one due to all of the wet weather that we had yesterday in the 2 practice sessions. So we are looking at Mercedes' upgrades they brought this weekend, which is mainly to their front wing, in fact. And it's quite interesting. They've inverted more or less the top panel of it. You can see how the top panel of the wing basically comes in like this, and they've more or less done like that. It basically just flips ahead, which is the big change they've made this weekend. And they're actually more or less changing between the two types of wings. So they're trying to see which one's quicker. So it certainly looks interesting. And I want to see if it works. And maybe that's what they've been talking about as something that could find them a lot more pace this weekend. And some people even saying, is it even legal as to what they're doing? So it'll certainly be something to look at. But meanwhile, Charles Leclerc, his Ferrari, is going around a set of soft tires. As he comes past sector 1, he's gone quicker than George Russell. He's set a new purple sector here in sector 1, these soft tires. Let's see where he puts himself. Again, Fernando Alonso's time on the hard tire is only 0.16 seconds behind George Russell's time. That was an incredible time by Fernando Alonso, and I'm really, really keen to see what Aston Martin can do as a result, because if that's an early indicator as to what sort of pace they're bringing this weekend, it could be insane. However, meantime, Alex Albon's Williams has just gone through the first 113 of the weekend, a 113.975 from Alex Albon. Great lap for him, though Charles Leclerc still going around even quicker than Alex Albon. This could be a very, very quick lap from the Ferrari driver, and Carlos Sainz has gone around relatively poorly compared to his teammate, although the purple sector has been stolen away from Charles Leclerc in sector 1, but he still holds on to sector 2's purple. Let's see what he does in sector 3. Comes past the Wall of Champions there, and he's now coming down the start-finish straight. How low in the 113s will this be? A 113.581 from Charles Leclerc. Much quicker and much more the sort of thing we expect. Now, Charles Leclerc is 0.8 seconds quicker than Fernando Alonso's hard time, which is more or less what we expect, a little bit at least. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton is now the one that's stealing those purple sectors away from Charles Leclerc. He's got first sector and second sector purple, and now coming down the back straight, rather, before the start-finish straight. He's got DRS right now with him as he comes into those final couple of turns. If he nails this, he should get himself onto the top of the leaderboards right now, and hopefully lower into the 113s as he comes across the line now. 113.464. It is ever so slightly quicker than Charles Leclerc, but he does put himself into first position in this session. Logan Sargent on his soft tyres has gone slower in Sector 1. He's got a personal best in Sector 2. He's now finishing up a lap for himself in Sector 3. He's currently in 6th position, just ahead of Fernando Alonso and Valtteri Bottas. But now he pushes himself up into 3rd with a purple sector in Sector 3. So very well done by Logan Sargent there. He's actually racing half decently this session. So interesting for James Vowles to look at, of course, team principal of Williams, seeing the two Williams right now in 3rd and 4th. Logan Sargent going a little bit quicker than Alex Albon. But they're currently in 3rd and 4th. And now the two McLarens are going around rather quickly. Bottas's incident is being noted for driving unnecessarily slowly. Well, that's a new one I've not seen. I mean, it's exactly what all of us have, but have an opinion on. But turn 13, apparently he was driving unnecessarily slowly. If that's ever a thing, that's apparently a thing. Lando Norris has, however, set a purple sector in Sector 2 as he comes around that hairpin and now comes down the Sector 3 back straight. And let's see what sort of time he can put in compared to Lewis Hamilton. This could be, again, a new fastest time of the session. I imagine we should be able to see 112s low 112s by at least the end of this session. At least. We might even see the 111s. We haven't seen the Red Bulls go out in softs yet, and I was keen to see what that happens. But Lando Norris has not managed to beat Hamilton's time, a 113.455, so 0.011 seconds slower than Lewis Hamilton, who's up in first. But Daniel Ricciardo now on these set of softs, he's going around relatively decently. Now, he's been a big one to talk about this weekend in terms of trying to find himself some good form, and we keep talking about Daniel Ricciardo in form. Let's see how he can fare as he finishes up a lap for himself on these softs right now. He's got personal bests, as I say, in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He comes around the final couple of straights. Hopefully he doesn't get held up by the traffic ahead of him, of which there is quite a bit. And he's coming down that start-finish straight. He puts in a 114.0. He moves himself into 6th, just ahead of George Russell. Not too bad from the V-Carb driver. JSOTech here saying Williams seem to be doing quite well, although I know it is only a practice. Indeed, it's only a practice. However, this is a good time to see the sort of pace that you could put in. Practice is still relatively indicative of, especially at least, race pace, because we do see a lot of race runs, and then you do see the sort of pace they're putting in. You can sort of make predictions as to what's going to happen in the race itself, which is why I say right now I think the Aston Martins will be quite chuffed with the sort of performance they did on those hard tyres, because they were really, really quite quick. So I'm hoping to see that sort of thing reflect in qualifying later and the race tomorrow. If we see Aston Martin also just a dark horse out of that battle for the top 4 there, because again, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, and Red Bull all reckon that they've got a chance this weekend to win. So all of them back themselves. And if Aston Martin suddenly come out of nowhere and are somewhat quite quick as well, I mean, that's going to be insane. We could have, as I say, everything, and I do mean everything, is gearing up towards one of the most exciting races of the Formula One calendar, and that we've had in literally years, because we have absolutely no idea who's going to win this weekend. I couldn't tell you. I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea if the Mercedes will rock up. I have no idea if the Ferraris will be quicker than the McLarens, who will be quicker than the Red Bulls, and even Aston Martin. That right now, those hard times they managed to put in earlier, and there was quite a while though on those hards, for them standing so much quicker than all those on the mediums, and even those initial soft tire runs from everybody. I mean, it's insane. They're still within 1.4 seconds of the quickest soft tire time so far. So, I mean, if that's any sort of indication as to pace they might have in the race pace, that's going to be insane to see. So hopefully, we really do have absolutely no idea who's going to win the race tomorrow and who's going to even top qualifying later on. Jason Tech said maybe it's double points for Williams. That would be nice to see. It would be great to see Williams in the points. Sargent getting points is exceptionally rare, of course. Very, very rare. But if we do manage to get that, it will be quite something. And it would be quite a good thing for James Vowles to try and get in his team, of course, who's really been struggling this season. So Yuki Tsunoda, of course, is trying to beat his teammate's time, that of Daniel Ricciardo on the softs. He currently sits in 6th, does Daniel Ricciardo. Yuki Tsunoda has yet to put a soft tire time in, but he's currently doing it right now. He locks up ever so slightly into the hairpin, but it keeps going. There, gets nice and close to the wall as he comes now into Sector 3, and that DRS will be wide open right now as it comes down that back straight. Let's see what sort of time he'll put in. And I don't think he'll be quicker than Daniel Ricciardo, frankly. He's already quite far down on that time. I reckon I'm going to put him around 8th position, around about Carlos Sainz's 8th position. So he'll be just sandwiched, I reckon, between Sainz and Russell, or Sainz and Piastri. And Tsunoda finishes up a time for himself now, indeed, between Sainz and Piastri. As I thought, that's exactly where he would be. And he does finish up there in 9th position, not quicker than his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who just finished up a lap for himself into 4th position. So he's really doing well for himself, Daniel Ricciardo. Now just behind the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, the McLaren of Lando Norris, and the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. And everybody in the V-Carb garage watching the screens quite intently. They seem to be relatively chuffed, actually. So I think they're seeing more pace than they might have thought they would be able to get, as we're now on board with Oscar Piastri, who's put in 2 personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Let's see what he does in Sector 3. Oh, he rides the curb a little bit heavily into that final corner. DRS wide open as it comes on that back straight, well, the main straight rather, and he moves himself into 5th, just behind his fellow Australian, Daniel Ricciardo, who's in 4th. Carlos Sainz, though, now finishing up in his Ferrari as well. He's currently in 9th. He did worse in Sector 1 than he has done so far. Sector 2 was a personal best. Now coming down that DRS straight. It closes now as it comes around those final couple of turns. And he now goes, oh my word, gets very close to the wall of champions. That Carlos Sainz had to duck out a little bit, and that caused his lap to be slightly slow. He improves upon his time, but he's still down in 8th behind those 2 Williams in 6th and 7th. So Carlos Sainz in 8th position. And right now, Lewis Hamilton's sitting pretty at the top there in his Mercedes. And you know what the best thing is? We've got 4 different constructors in the top 4 there, and we've yet to have Red Bull actually come out. Same as Aston Martin. They're doing long runs on medium tyres now. Logan Sargent's time, unfortunately, getting impacted quite significantly there by one car on the track. I couldn't see which car it was, but yeah, unfortunately, his lap there. Oh, I think it is a Mercedes. Yeah, I have no idea what Logan Sargent is complaining about. He's following somebody who's doing a hot lap, which is Lewis Hamilton, and then this Ferrari's pulled out the way of both of them, and he's complaining about him. So I have no idea what he's got to complain about there. It's Logan Sargent just being Logan Sargent, if I'm frank. UK phone, well, I'll phone you now, saying, come on, boys, of McLaren, of course, coming from the UK to be a supporter of McLaren. It makes a lot of sense. Come on, McLaren. Indeed, at McLaren supporter. They're great to see you there. Jason Tech saying, what time is quali again? Quali will happen in just under 4 hours' time. It will happen at 11 o'clock SAST, which means for the UK standard time, because I think daylight savings is gone, which means that you are 1 hour behind. So it'll be at 10 o'clock in the UK time, I think. Old Man Vu saying, great to see Danny beating Yuki. Indeed, he's right up there, Daniel Ricciardo, just ahead of his other compatriot, Oscar Piastri, who's in 5th. So doing really well so far as Daniel Ricciardo. Hopefully he can do that in qualifying. Again, practice means nothing. Qualifying is where it's at, and the race itself, of course. TC here saying Red Bull must be addressing some issues. I think Red Bull are just in the pits for a little while here. I don't think there's too much concern in the garage right now. But yeah, they haven't come out yet, so they're still waiting to get out there. Jason texting, yeah, currently wearing my McLaren shirt. Indeed, another McLaren fan there. Great to see. I love the McLaren fans. Keep it coming. Let me know which team you guys do support in the comment section as well. Cora saying, what the hell do they put in the water in Canada? Magical maple syrup. I have no idea, but all I do know is that we've got some very interesting tires being put in by various drivers of all sorts, and it's such an open field. It really is. We have no idea what's going to happen, I think, for qualifying later. I mean, even a small team like VCarb or Aston Martin, and Aston Martin's not as small, of course, but you know, they could really push the qualifying things. I think you could see big teams fall out in Q1, Q2, and even Q3. So really, really, really interesting times ahead of us here. And Naval Portgita finally joining us here, saying it'll be 10 o'clock UK time. So I was correct. I was indeed correct. It'll be 10 o'clock UK time, 11 o'clock SAST. And Yanni's just saying fluoride, chlorine, and pass-through prescription medication is clearly what is in the water in Canada, of course. So 16 minutes remaining in the session. We're cutting it down into the business end of practice 3. Everybody's into the pits right now because they know that, as I said, the last 15 to 10 minutes of every practice session usually is a flurry of soft tires. And yeah, I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see everybody come out on relatively fresh tires in terms of soft tires, and they're going to come out and do some things. Tsunoda complaining about the rear. He's saying the rear is sliding around. So he's not enjoying his time out there, and maybe he's just making that excuse, of course, because he's lost a lot of time compared to his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. But Ricciardo now finishing up a lap for himself again. What time does he put in? What does he go quicker? No, he doesn't. It's just still slightly slower than his previous time, but right up there. So not a bad time. Still would have been quicker than Tsunoda's quickest time by a little bit while. Yuki Tsunoda, meanwhile, is also going around. Let's see what sort of time he can put in. Well, he's actually coming to the pits now. So, teams that have yet to have come out on the soft tire, quite a few of them. Aston Martin, Red Bull, Haas, Alpine, and the Kick Saubers, although Bottas did go on the soft for a little bit. But all of those teams have barely used soft tires, so we actually have no idea what the soft tire runs could be from those teams. Although it seems like Red Bull are getting ready to get going soon with Max Verstappen. They're making a final couple of adjustments there in the pits. They're attaching some things there, and I think they're about to get going there. So yeah, the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Haases, the 2 Alpines, the 1 Kick Sauber, and both Aston Martins have yet to leave the pits since their long runs and have not put on soft tires at any point. Jason Tech says, not going to lie, nice to see Hamilton in P1. Indeed, it's a rare occasion that happens. Will Hamilton win another race this season with Mercedes? I think that's a good question to ask everybody in the chat. Will Hamilton be able to win a race with Mercedes this season at any point? Or are his race winning days with Mercedes gone? Are they done? So whilst you guys think about that and you answer in the comments, I'm going to follow his teammate and his new replacement as number 1 driver, at least not his actual replacement, but his number 1 driver replaced my word. George Russell, so as I was talking about, almost slides into the wall there, but manages to keep it just out. He's 0.03 seconds down on Lewis Hamilton, his teammate, in Sector 1. He's finishing up now and going into Sector 2. And he's really pushing it in that Mercedes. So it's great to see. And let's see what sort of time George Russell can do compared to Lewis Hamilton, of course. And he gets quicker in Sector 2 by 0.038 seconds. So he's quicker than Lewis Hamilton to Sector 2. Let's see what he can do in Sector 3. Now, I'll put you to asking that question there. Let me go and check for you. I will confirm 100% right now with our official stats and everything and all of our information. I'll get that to you right now, which is usually almost exactly 99.99% of the time, 100% accurate. See what I did there? I'll confirm for you right now. As George Russell comes across the line, does he go quicker? He does indeed go quicker by 0.19 seconds, a 113.27 by George Russell and Mercedes. The two Mercedes, 1 and 2. Okay, Noel, to answer your question, qualifying will be happening at, in fact, 10 o'clock. Yes, 10 o'clock SAST and 9 o'clock UK time. 10 o'clock SAST, I do apologize about that. So 10 o'clock SA and 9 o'clock UK time. That is correct. That is when qualifying will be. So in actual fact, qualifying will take place in just under 3 hours. Oh, I think Albon clips the wall slightly. He did. He did just slightly touches the wall of champions there. He was really pushing there, and he had to give up as he came down there. He's going to have to check for damage now, I think. But he does just clip the wall of champions there. I was wondering when we were going to see somebody go and clip it, and he does indeed. He seems to have damage to the inside of his body there. Yellow flag in Sector 1 as a result. He's still going round. His car's all right, but there's clearly a few scratches there on his car. He did definitely clip it. And yeah, just slightly goes into it. The car seems to be all right, but yeah, the tire is ever so slightly grading on the back there. But yeah, realistically, the car's fine. But he did actually clip it ever so slightly. As we watch now a replay of it, an onboard replay of it, you could just see he was really pushing it to the absolute max there. And you just see, oh, he just slightly clips and then could have his back right tire slams into the wall. He's still all right, and he just has to, unfortunately, give up. Just watching a proper replay of it now from the front action. He just grabs that curb a little bit too much in the last one, tries to turn it out, and you can just see that back tire just good into it there. And it does actually break the tire ever so slightly. He's managed to drive back, but clearly a wheel arch is broken there. Yeah, something snapped there in the car. So he's going to be able to drive the car back to the pit somehow. But the car is definitely damaged, and I don't think he'll take part in the rest of the session. Unfortunate for Alex Albon, at least it's only practice. So Hamilton, meanwhile, is putting in a fastest first sector and second sector. He's almost 0.5 seconds up on George Russell's time. So he's really motoring in that Mercedes. Max Verstappen is also finally out on the soft tire. He's got personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2, but no purple sectors for him. So I don't think he's going to be beating Russell's time or Hamilton's time right now, but he could get right up there close to everybody else's. Let's see what Max Verstappen can do as he finishes up a lap for himself up into second, a 113.289, just below George Russell. But Hamilton's going around so quickly. I imagine we might even see a 112. We do see a 112, a 112.5. Unbelievable from Hamilton. 0.7 seconds quicker than Russell. And Hamilton was really happy going into this session and into this weekend. And clearly that's why, because he reckons he's finally got a car that's going to do something for him this weekend. They've brought upgrades. They reckon that this Mercedes car could really start to challenge now for podiums. And I'm really seeing potentially why. Because look at this, the two Mercedes right at the top there. Hamilton beating Russell and Verstappen's time right now by 0.7 seconds, almost a whole second. It's unbelievable from Lewis Hamilton there. Brilliant work from him as we see Alex Albon nurse his car back to the pits as we're now under 10 minutes to go in this session. Yes, Alex Albon unfortunately has to go across the racing line there. I think he gets in the way of a couple of cars there as he starts there. So unfortunately for him, he can't really do much about it. The wheel arch is slightly broken his back rear right. As we watch just another replay of the close up of the Wall of Champions, literally called the Wall of Champions. And you do just see him snick the wall ever so slightly with his back right. Oh, my word. Could have been so much worse for Alex Albon, but luckily he managed to keep it from being that much worse than it could have been. So really well done from him, actually avoiding much bigger collisions that could have happened there. TC saying no messing about from Lewis. Indeed, no messing about at all. Clayton Shannon saying no Verstappen, that's a bad boy. That's a bit of odd language. But indeed, so... yeah, no, Verstappen, he needs to do it a little bit quicker. Verstappen on the radio saying the car is jumping around a lot, like up and down, especially braking into turn 1. So Max Verstappen having a relatively torrid time in his Red Bull, and he's not enjoying life right now. He's now sitting down at 4th because guess what? And guess who? Daniel Ricciardo has also finished up another soft tire lap, and he's gone even quicker than Max Verstappen. He's still 0.7 seconds down at Hamilton, but he's up there in 3rd. Brilliant from Daniel Ricciardo. But do you know whose eyes I want to be on right now? Because it's what I've been waiting for. Alonso in his Aston Martin, finishing up a lap for himself. He's really motoring around. This could be brilliantly quick. It'll only be a 1:13, but where he will finish 6th position, just behind Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and Daniel Ricciardo, more or less there and thereabouts with them. But it's his first soft tire run this entire session, so I reckon he can find some more time there in that Aston Martin. So it's good to see everybody's really motoring as Oscar Piastri finishes up a lap for himself for 1:13.4. He moves into 5th. Now, Charles Leclerc on his soft tire, he's currently in 8th position. He's been complaining about the car. Where will he finish up this lap? In 5th position as well, 1:13.3, just still behind Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. But everybody's still leagues away from Lewis Hamilton's time. Hamilton's time in a league of his own right now. Sergio Perez, he's going around in his Red Bull right now. He's down 17th and 19th rather. He still hasn't put in a soft tire lap. This is his first one he's doing right now. He's got personal bests, of course, in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So let's see what sort of time he can do compared to his teammate even in Max Verstappen, who is 0.74 seconds away from Lewis Hamilton's time as we are 7 minutes away from the end of the session. Sergio Perez crosses the line for the first time in his soft tires, only down in 9th, a 1:13.6. Slower than Alonso, Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Russell, and indeed Hamilton. Gasly finishes up a lap for himself all the way down in 15th. Alpine looking rather slow. Race control as well has now noted an incident with Alexander Albon for an unsafe condition. Well, unfortunately, what could he do? You know, the car was in an unsafe condition. Supposedly, yes, you must pull off to the side then. But he managed to nurse the car home without any debris. So was it really in that sort of an unsafe condition? I think it's all right. I think it will be no further investigation. Lando Norris, meanwhile, this soft tire is going around as well. He's trying to go relatively quickly. As he goes past his teammate, Oscar Piastri gets out of the way nicely from his DRS is now wide open as Lando Norris. He's got 2 personal bests in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Let's see how close he can get to Lewis Hamilton. Hulkenberg as well, going on a soft tire run in his Haas. He's down 19th. It's his first one of the session. Leclerc on the radio. Interestingly enough, so Charles Leclerc's engineer just letting him know where he's losing time, and Carlos Sainz gets completely held up there in Sector 2 by Alpine. Really unhappy with him, waiting for the Alpine to come across and just showing his hand to it, saying he's ruined his lap. So clearly not happy as Carlos Sainz with that Alpine there, ruining his lap completely. So unfortunately for Carlos Sainz, I think that could have been a quick one. But clearly got held up by an Alpine there. But just going back to Charles Leclerc's engineer comments, just telling him that he's losing up to 0.3 of a second just in turn 1 and 2. So that's a huge amount to be losing. And Charles Leclerc responds and says, I feel like we're not doing something right to lose that amount of time. Something is not doing right. We need to check something. Something does not make sense. As Max Verstappen finishes up a lap for himself, he's a little bit closer to Lewis Hamilton, but still 0.6 seconds behind. He's now in second, splits the 2 Mercedes. Just 0.6 seconds, I say, behind Lewis Hamilton's time of a 1:12.5. As Old Man Roo says, go Danny. Look at him, still up there in 4th. Hey, very, very impressive from the Australian driver. TC saying, I think Jacques Villeneuve really annoyed Ricciardo. Look at his lap time. Lol, indeed. Ricciardo really responding quite well. Really putting himself right up there. And look at Tsunoda down in 14th compared to Ricciardo up in 4th. Now, again, the big thing is Daniel Ricciardo has done this a couple of times in his career, but he's done really, really well in the practice leading up to qualifying. And then the qualifying session itself, he doesn't quite get to the sort of things that he did in practice. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he really does well in qualifying later, and I really would like to see that happen for him. Let's see. Old Man Roos saying, great to see Lewis coming back to form. Indeed, he's really doing really, really well. Watching a replay here of Pierre Gasly, I think is the Alpine that got in the way of the Ferrari there. To be fair to Gasly, he got told very, very late there, and so Carlos Sainz was coming past, and Pierre Gasly had to get out of his way, but Sainz was really not happy about that, by the way. Was really not happy about that at all. But yeah, I don't think it was really Pierre Gasly's fault, really, because he moaned to his engineer straight away, because the engineer came rather late and said, yes, Carlos Sainz on a push lap, and he goes and says, mate, you told me so late, basically. And Pierre Gasly also did just apologize to Carlos Sainz as he went past him there. He did just wave his hand there in the air, just saying, sorry, sorry, sorry. Yeah, so unfortunately for Pierre Gasly, not necessarily his fault. Of course, he does have rear view mirrors, but realistically, your engineer is the one who has to tell you people are on push laps. George Russell also did lose it, though, into that turn there, and the exact same point there, and he's rather ruined his soft tyres there quite badly. So, yeah, unfortunately for him, he was on the push lap, and he rather ruins his tyres as well. Now, we've got just about 3 minutes remaining in practice 3, so everything's about to happen. Can we see people get anywhere near Lewis Hamilton's time of 1:12.5? It's an incredible time from Lewis Hamilton, considering everybody cannot get anywhere close to it. It's brilliant, and everybody else is more or less almost identical. I mean, we've got so many different teams in the same sort of realm of time, with the exception of Lewis Hamilton. I mean, between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, we've got 0.2 seconds. That's nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's really, really, really quick as Sergio Perez finishes up a lap for himself, just behind Fernando Alonso, in fact, into 8th position, just ahead of Charles Leclerc, who's now in 9th. Charles now, he's on the soft tyres. Let's see what the other Aston Martin can do. He's down 11th right now as he finishes up a lap for himself. Will he be able to get into that top 6, top 7? He does. Oh my word, Lance Stroll into 2nd position at home. And the home crowd goes wild. They literally do. Absolutely brilliant from Lance Stroll. The Canadian driver in Canada, in Montreal, goes up into 2nd in P3, right behind Lewis Hamilton, 0.5 seconds, and is 0.1 seconds quicker than the Red Bull. I think the Aston Martins could do something this weekend, and what a weekend to do it, of course. Brilliant drive from Lance Stroll there. And Aston Martin could be right there and thereabouts. As George Russell almost loses it into the wall of champions, but he comes down that final straight, and he takes now that 2nd place point away from Lance Stroll. And again, the Mercedes clearly coming here to play this weekend. 2-minute marker has now been sounded. There are 2 minutes remaining in this session. A Jason text saying the French tractor must be quite wide. Indeed. Watching a replay here of Carlos Sainz. Does he almost lose it into the start finish? Oh, he does almost. He goes slightly onto the grassy surface and he has to abandon it, unfortunately. Has to abandon that lap right at the end of it. Clayton Shannon saying, Hamilton, please help us. Oh my word, Logan Sargent getting really, really badly held up there. And he has every right to be angry about this. What's he doing, man? Honestly, that was nearly huge. And it was, actually. It was nearly huge. Logan Sargent almost getting involved in a big accident down that final DRS straight there. Got held up quite badly. I couldn't see which car it was, but really did almost get completely in his way there. Logan Sargent also taking some very odd lines. I do have to wonder about him sometimes. But anyway, 1 minute remaining. No further investigation, by the way, for Albon's unsafe condition. I thought that would be the case. I said, got the car back, nothing happened, so it really shouldn't be investigated too much. But yeah, we have a whole lot of traffic coming down that final DRS straight to finish up in just 50 seconds. Leclerc on the radio saying we are extremely slow, so concern for Ferrari. Big concern for Ferrari. Max Verstappen, though, he's going to try and finish up his final push lap of the session, and he comes across the line now. Will it be close? Oh, much closer to Hamilton than we've seen, but still quite far. 0.4 seconds down, more or less. But Max Verstappen now puts himself into 2nd, splitting the 2 Mercedes. But Hamilton's time is still in a league of his own. So Max Verstappen managed to find a little bit of time in Sector 3, but Sector 1 and 2, Hamilton was still quicker. Watching a replay of Max Verstappen get so close to the wall there, the wall of champions, getting very close to claiming yet another victim. My word. Oh, he does actually clip it. He does clip it ever so slightly. You do see a little spark from his back rear, I suppose that's the same word. His rear right tire just slightly grazes the wall there, and a little spark happens as a result, of course. But yeah, luckily, absolutely nothing. Too close to the wall as powered by AWS. 0 centimeters. I do enjoy that. Too close to the wall was Max Verstappen there, apparently. So the session is now officially done, but we've got lots of people still finishing up their laps. Daniel Ricciardo still up there in 6th position on his lap there, but we're seeing now, I think this is Lance Stroll finishing up another lap for himself. Could he push himself even further ahead? Lance Stroll finished a lap. He does improve upon his time, down in 4th position, but does not move up in the rankings. But very, very good from Aston Martin to put themselves really in a decent position to try and compete and qualifying later. Meanwhile, we've now got Carlos Sainz finally finishing up a decent lap for himself, and only 12th. Yes, the Ferraris are slow. The Ferraris are definitely slow. They need to figure out something before qualifying later, because as soon as qualifying starts, parc fermé takes place and you can't change it. So Ferrari have got a lot of work to do in just about 2.5 hours before qualifying starts to try and find something that works, because clearly something is not working for Ferrari. And it's a big concern going into this weekend. Mercedes, however, firmly in the driving seat, as we're now following on board Lewis Hamilton, who's finishing up his final push lap as well. He's really motoring around here. Let's see what Lewis... No, actually, he's finished already. I don't know why he's motoring. He is finished. Everybody's pretty much finished. I think that is pretty much the end of our session here. Now everybody's going to be doing practice starts here. But what a session there for everybody. My word. Hamilton in 1st, Verstappen 2nd, Russell in 3rd. The Mercedes in a league of their own. Though Aston Martin also very quick this session. Lance Stroll in 4th. Piastri in his McLaren 5th. Daniel Ricciardo doing very well in his V-Carb in 6th. Lando Norris in 7th. Alonso in 8th. Sergio Perez in 9th. Leclerc all the way down in 10th in that Ferrari. The Ferrari got lots of work to do before qualifying later. Going through our bottom 10. Magnussen 11th. Sainz in 12th. Bottas in 13th, Sargent 14th, Tsunoda all the way down to 15th still, Gasly in 16th in his Alpine, 17th is Hulkenberg, 18th Albon, 19th Ocon, and 20th, of course, due to that red flag incident that he had, Zhou Guanyu. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for practice 3 here on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and like the video, and be sure to go and like the video for the qualifying session later, which will be handled by Reese. Reese will be taking you through that later, of course. That'll be in about 2.5 hours time, so don't go anywhere. You'll be pulled across to the next stream, and you guys can go and like that, and be sure to go and give him all the chats, and I think it's going to be one of the most exciting qualifying sessions for a long while, so be sure to go to it and check it out, and do not miss it at all. Check out our channel partner BITDEFENDER as well. Again, you guys have been watching Forever Motorsports with myself, Mark. Thank you so much for watching. Cheerio.